Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Today we're going to deal with a bad habit of mine, which I don't think is unique. I sign up for a bunch of newsletters, then never ever read them. I sign up for a bunch of them for my work, and so you can imagine I pay attention to certain industry updates, maybe schools, courts, professions, whatever, and follow the updates. And most of the time it doesn't relate to me, and then I kind of drop the ball and then stop following the newsletter at all. And then suddenly something occurs where I kind of need to get the lay of the land and I want to read through all the newsletters. So you can imagine a great way to do this is to ask AI just to run through all of the documents. And so today's project is grabbing a bunch of newsletters out of my Gmail inbox, throwing them into OpenAI GPT, asking it to summarize, and then just reading the output. Now, we don't need a fancy interface for this. This is going to be a cut and dry Python script. But what we're going to do is take a quick look at how all these mechanics work together. Our demo for the day is the Control AI Reg. This is by Raymond Sun, or as he's known online, Techie Ray. It's a really good newsletter to follow if you're interested in laws and regulations around AI. And every issue it is talking about what developments have happened in the UK and US, basically globally in terms of AI. One way we could have gone about this is to just go through his website and scrape. But I did sign up for a newsletter, and I think some things are exclusively newsletter. So, just again to show you, this is how it would look like in one of the issues. Substack is one option, but what we're looking at today is the email version, where you can see here's the post, here's the text of the post, here's the unsubscribe button, a bunch of other things in the email. Just for fast iteration, I have 3 of my emails downloaded here, but you can see my new folder. I have many backlogs, and I haven't even downloaded all of them. So the goal is probably to write a script to process through all the email files within my folder, combine them into a text, maybe in batches, and then send them to GPT-4o Mini and ask it to summarize and grab some basic trends. This, again, is a great example because AI regulation is very, very slow. Just in the last 2 months, I can tell you, UK, US did not move hugely, but there is a lot. There will be a lot of overlaps in between, Techie Ray's January 7th and 14th updates. It's just such a glacial pace that there will be a lot of fluff, there will be a lot of overlap, and so this is a good one for us to feed a whole bunch into AI, ask what happened in the last little bit. What else is there here before we get started? If you're pulling this out of Microsoft Outlook, probably pretty easy. You just drag and drop. Google makes it kind of hard to download, batch download attachments. You can download individual ones by clicking the menu button at the top right corner when you're looking at it. But what's really useful in Gmail that I don't think many people notice is if you select a whole bunch. So what I would do is search your email by Control AI Reg or the name of your newsletter. You have 100, 1,000 results. Select them all and then forward as an attachment to yourself. And then from there, there's like 100 attachments in your email. You can download them all in one button click. The warning here is that there is a maximum attachment limit of 100, so that means you will have to process them as batches of 100. So once again, search your email, filter it however you want. It could be your newsletter, it could be by date, whatever you want. Click this button right here to select them all, and then click this triple dot and say forward as attachment. You forward it to yourself, and then you can one button click to download all attachments, and from there work with the email files. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and get started. All right, that was quick in about 20 minutes. I was working with Claude 3.5 to get this working together. Let's run through the code and see what's happening. Or rather, first, let's see what comes out of it. Now, you know that I have three emails here. And word wrap here, we will see here are the major regulatory changes mentioned in these three newsletters. G20 Declaration on AI, UN Resolution on Military AI, and the OECD report. There's a bunch of other little things that mentions, but that is absolutely perfect for me. That is what I was hoping for. So if we go back to the code to see what is going on here, it is as you would imagine. So first of all, we went down to the main, and of course you have a couple of different parameters, global variables here. We have our OpenAI API key. We have a path to the folder, so it doesn't have to be on the same folder as this run.py file, and the months to analyze. I thought this was quite nice, but it adds a bit of complexity to the code. But basically, it's saying what happened in the last 6 months, what happened in the last 8 months. It's pulling out the date of the emails to figure that out. Useful? Is it necessary? I don't really know. Next bit is we start running the actual code. We create this newsletter aggregator. We aggregate the newsletters, and then we save the results. So the rest of the code is all in this newsletter aggregator class. First of all, when we start, we have a OpenAI client that makes it easy to talk to. We have a folder path, and then we have a list of all the newsletters. For now, it is empty. When we run aggregate newsletters here, first we're going to get all the email files. So we come here, find all the .eml files. There are other formats out there, but I think .eml is probably the most popular one. This is nice and simple. You go to the folder, find anything that ends in .eml. You could, in theory, change this logic a little bit to find different things in your email database. You could filter in different ways. But for now, we just have a giant list of all the emails. In our case, there are only 3. Next, we are going to figure out the cutoff date. So it's going what is today, and then we go back 6 months. From there, we are parsing the email. Sorry, it skipped a section I thought would be there. But we're going to go through each of those email files in the list. We're going to determine if the cutoff date. So first, we're going to pull the email out, pull all the information out through this parse email. We open the file, get the date, get the subject, and get the content. This is where things get a little bit interesting because I did run into the issue where my email just had so much additional fluff that are links, analytics, styling, and you saw the newsletters. They they were tiny, tiny clips. Um, in theory, one of these should be 100, 200 words long, and suddenly it was going past OpenAI's context length. So, in order to parse it properly, we had to use Beautiful Soup, and that is an HTML parser. We clean the HTML content, which is over here. We scrub out all of the styling, we scrub out all of the HTML tags, we just strip it of all the, we strip it down to just the text. They also have interestingly enough, removing these sections of if you want to unsubscribe, if you want to stop receiving these emails, just cleaning out as much text as we can. So this is really helpful. You can kind of dive into it. I'm sure we could get it even more compact and even better, because if you see some of these, there is, subscribe here for more. Copyright, like, comment. There's more that we can strip out, but I'm okay with that. So finally, when it's all clean, we get the content. I don't need to print it out anymore, but it returns the date, subject, and content. This is where if the date doesn't match where we want to cut it off, it'll just, or rather if it matches and falls within that time, it appends that newsletter in. And finally, after all the emails are combined together, we sort them and then we send them to OpenAI. So at this point, this sorting happens up here. This is just a list of the date and the subject and the content. I could probably take out the subject as well. For this newsletter, it doesn't help all that much. Okay, the next thing we're going to do after aggregate newsletters is save results. So over here, we open the file. It creates a brand new file called regulatory summary. And then we start writing. I'm sorry, I skipped a step. Where did this show up? Seems like there was a bit of a change since my previous one. So, okay, no, it was not. I was just skipping ahead. So in order to do this, the next step was to save results. It opens a file, starts writing regulatory change summary. First thing it's going to do is ask OpenAI to summarize the changes. Here is what is sent. You can adjust the prompt, of course, by you're a regulatory analysis expert, blah, blah, blah. Please give us major timelines, changes, blah, blah, blah. I should probably remove the max tokens here. And we get the result. It gets pasted in. So write down the summary. The next step is we're going to create a timeline. And this is actually not through OpenAI. We are just going through each of those newsletters in the list here and listing, the time, the subject, and the content. And we're going to aggregate them all together into one file. And then you get a nice summary here. First top bit is what OpenAI has provided, and this is all of the actual content of the newsletters. This latter section probably gets pretty long if I start using this long giant list, but useful to know that all the text here has been at least submitted to OpenAI. Now for me, I will find this incredibly, incredibly helpful because this use case is built for it. Gradual, slow, boring kind of newsletters that are hard to follow. Get a summary of it all together, and if I find anything interesting, I can just go copy find and I can see where in the email it shows up. And so this declaration of AI showed up in the November 13th newsletter, November 14th newsletter. And I can see a bit more of the context here if I disagree or have a bit of suspicion. As usual, as you know, AI is not God. It is not infallible, so you do want to double check before you actually use these summaries. Hopefully you found that helpful. I really do think a lot of people sign up for newsletters that they don't actually read. I think, obviously, I'll strip out the API key, but I think I'll be posting this one up on my GitHub because it hopefully is useful for other people. All right, thanks for watching, and then next week we will tackle another project likely related to AI. Thanks for watching. Bye.